Olá a todos, é mais uma vez com imenso prazer que estamos aqui no Motorcast do Standvirtual, já em plena recuperação no mercado aqui em Portugal. Queremos hoje trazer-vos aqui um Motorcast muito especial. Temos connosco o líder europeu do OLX Group na área automóvel, Lukas Draginas. Lukas Draginas está no grupo OLX há mais de 5 anos, nos últimos anos tem liderado o Automoto, que é um líder incontestado na Polónia, nesta área dos classificados da área automóvel. Tive antes também vários anos na Autogidas na Polónia, tem aqui uma fortíssima experiência a nível de plataformas digitais, sempre na área automóvel, e é neste contexto que ele hoje em dia é o General Manager da Motors Europe no contexto do OLX Group. Vou assim trazer o Lukas. Lukas, good morning. How are you today? Good morning at the moment. How are you? All good?
Hey, good morning, Nuno. It's all good. It's a lovely day here. It's I bet it's not as lovely as in Portugal, but it's still decent. How are you today?
I'm good, and it's beautiful blue sky today. But I just, for people to understand all these things on internet, I'm talking with Lukas. Lukas is based in Lithuania. It's like modern, right? You know, we operate on a daily basis. In coordinating Europe, I'm in Portugal, is in Lithuania. This is the new world. But before getting into business, Lukas, I will go more on a more personal angle, because I think it's interesting for many people in Portugal seeing this Motorcast. Since I know you, I was impressed that you spent already, I believe, 8-9 months in Portugal. You studied in Porto. How was your experience?
Exactly, yeah, that's correct. So at my studies, I had this Erasmus experience, and I moved to Porto to study there, and then I have, of course, the luxury of enjoying your lovely weather in city of Porto. So yeah, it's only warm memories from that time. It's natural when you're a student, you're exploring quite a bit and you're having fun. Besides of that, it's Universidade de Economia. It was quite challenging, to be fair. We had to work quite hard. So I think that's where the love for Portugal started.
It's just it's still going on the personal side, right? And I've been working with you, and I think it's interesting because, as you probably know, Portugal, and you know it for sure. You've been here. It's a country very front side, and also sports is something relevant for me and for us. So I appreciated that you in someone that has like a special taste or interest on sports, and I was very interested to see that you like climbing mountains is something that really excites you. Can you share something about that? And also, I think that's interesting because you need to have a very strong spirit to get there. There's the goal. Does this also reflect on your personal life, professional life? I'm sorry, personal for sure also.
I think it does. It reflects very much in both, in personal and professional. I think what I like in general mountaineering, it's give you the good reality grip. So then you go into the mountains, that gives you a good grip of how many things are connected, and how the nature is strong and powerful. On top of that, you need to plan your resources very well, because if you go too fast, you might get exhausted. If you go too slow, you might not get there. On top of that, it's very good relaxation, so that allows to free up the mind. But then you look from the business perspective. So every single time we climb the mountains, and there's this kind of moment, and you're climbing to the peak, and you feel that you are about there, and then you see that there's constantly higher mountains around you. So I think that from mountains, that hunger comes from hunger for achieving more and being better and best in actually what we do. So I think that's very much represented in what we do as motors in Europe, including Portugal.
I haven't climbed seriously a mountain, but maybe one day you will challenge me. Lukas, before getting more into the professional side now, but I think there's one very element that I think is relevant, and I think is interesting for you to share with us that in Portugal, but specifically in Portugal, we are more Latin, a lot of personal contact. So about home office is something that is not our day-to-day. It's really probably more far away than other countries. And with this pandemic phase that we went through, many of us, and I'm a clear example of that, I was traveling a lot, but never doing much home office, always getting close to the people around the world. We became, people that had to learn very quickly how to do home office. I think you are a tremendous example of someone that leads Europe out of Lithuania, and you've been doing this, you have your family there, and you are able to be very efficient. Can you share with us experience of someone that compared to us is really used to work from a non-office perspective. How is your day today?
Yeah, so to start with, as you mentioned and point out very correctly, it is challenging for all of us, including myself and I bet yourself. So in our company, we're fortunate enough, we had home office exercise prior actually COVID, so that helped a lot. So we had quite good dynamics in how we deal with the teams, in some cases how we have certain meetings. But then it became on a permanent basis for the last 2.5 months that indeed tested how efficient we are. So to start with, I think what helps me personally is to have a good balance between work and life. So meaning even simple thing, for example, then I go to office, which you see behind me, it's in my house. So sometimes I go outside and just walk around house. So meaning that, I have a minute or so to connect to the work and start thinking about that. The same goes actually splitting the day in certain pieces. So for example, the first half of the day, I dedicate working with the team. I dedicate working with the people and meeting them. And then usually after afternoon and after lunch, it's I dedicate some time to the family. So I can enjoy my kids and wife. And then later in the late evening, then I can reconnect and then do some emails, etc. So it's not regular day at office type of routine. However, I think that works in my case, and then I believe every single one of us have small tweaks. What does work, what's not. And the last but not least is exercising. It's doing some regular sports. It's very important for me personally. So otherwise, just sitting in one place and looking in a screen, that might be too much in a month or so.
Yeah, man, I can tell you the same. I was been surfing a lot, and like the last, I think 2 days or 3 days, I've not been able to surf, and I think my back is very different. It's tough, right? It's like when we get used to exercises, where we also get some endomorphins, and then that helps us. Okay, exactly. So let me now start getting in a bit on this more professional perspective that I think everybody also wants to know, and I will start with one of your tremendous success, right? You've been able to move Automoto in Poland as a clear leader in Poland, and it's tremendous. The brand awareness, the impact in the Polish market. Can you share or summarize a bit that success story so people understand? Because just give it in a context, Automoto business-wise is probably 7-8 times bigger than Standvirtual. Standvirtual is incomparable the leader in Portugal, but Automoto is like even another scale. It would be interesting if you can share that with us.
Yeah, so it is indeed, as you said, it's in General Motors and in our portfolio is crown jewel, and it's successful in many markets, including Portugal. And Poland is quite unique. It's of this scale, and then it's how people are petrol heads to start with. They deeply care about the cars. So a big share of people do like cars, not only for point A to B. That's also more important for them than just a commuting thing. So if I look into the market, it's a very challenging market. It's 38.5 million people, which kind of high standards for technology and product. So what we've been successful on identifying needs from year in and year out, and then getting better, challenging ourselves. I think what we did good that we didn't settle as soon as we became number one, because from my point of view, this is very challenging for being number one year in and year out for last decade. So for us, that inner hunger and craving for more and serving more and more needs, understanding needs of customer really helped us and fueled the whole team. So as a result, everyone worked really hard in the right direction. So that resulted in super strong business, which we continue to lead the market.
Really, I think makes and I think for us and people sometimes I think it's interesting to share here in Portugal, and I mentioned this many times that we work as one team, right? So
exactly.
So some decisions is not just about Portugal; it's about what impacts Poland, Romania, eventually other markets. So sometimes we need to have that more big picture, and so I always share that it's not just one decision; it's a team.
Exactly right. It's in some cases we pay the price as a group. So some of the things we have to make certain trade-offs that it's relevant in all the markets. However, there's also a lot of knowledge which we share from market to market. So, and it doesn't mean that only Poland experience being shared to Portugal. It goes sometimes vice versa, that there is quite a lot of exciting things happening in Portugal which are being applied to any other market. So being a big group does bring quite a bit of the benefits, especially from intellectual capabilities of seeing the world and acting as a global players in the local markets.
That leads me exactly to a very interesting question I wanted to make. Even a couple of weeks ago, we also had here the COO of OLX Brazil, so that even in Portugal, people understand the dimension of the group. But the question I have for you now is, people in some cases may not know that in the logic of Naspers, and Ricardo is going to put a map where we are present around the world. Really the coverage of Naspers around the world is impressive, right? So, and my question for you is, from a perspective of automotive, right? With all these presence around the world, Russia, Brazil, South America, many other countries also in Africa, what is our automotive perspective? Where do you think we are going as a global player?
So as a global player, as if for now, we decided to split into Europe and the rest of the world. And it goes to start with from the maturity perspective, because in Europe we have very mature players with leading positions in quite a few of the markets, and that's also depends on certain consumer needs we have. And if we look at the more emerging markets like India, for example, the automotive industry is still being shaped, and in 9 of 10 cases in those markets there is bigger demand versus supply. So certain products and an experience we are tailoring for those markets are slightly different. So as a consequence, we decided to do a certain split. On top of that, it's besides of the fact that many needs are very similar, better tailoring them, we found out that having that specific approach to those specific market does make a lot of sense. So as a motors in Naspers, it's basically as no exception in Poland, we really want to serve consumer needs. So this is what we want to identify, and we organize accordingly to serve them best.
I think, and again, as you mentioned, I think it's really interesting because it's not only not only like what we can share here locally, but I'm sure that you even that have more global perspective. We always learn, like we learn about stuff that in other markets they are already leapfrogging some tendencies, and we can learn that for Europe. So I wanted to introduce now something a bit more specific about our own business, and for that I will ask Ricardo just to play a video that I know you produced. You've been our leader, putting this thought and aligning all of this, and I think it's important for the market to understand exactly from this perspective of OLX Europe that we are more mature where we are going. No, I'm just joking here. I'm the one responsible for the video, like this new technologies. So I'm the one going to be sharing this right now. Sharing the screen. There we go. Man, this is the beautiful technology. Let me put it up. And then here we go.
Launched a new path on the automotive map of Europe. This path is indicated by 3 signposts. Trust. Transparency. The buyer gets every single detail on the current condition of the car and its history before purchase, and can be assured the price is always right. Choice. Motors has millions of offers on the European market. We help find the right one. And last but not least, we provide our clients with convenience. Powerful all-in-one solutions for both automobile sellers and buyers. Financing, insurance, parts, even buying a car from the seller directly through us is fast and convenient. So why are we doing this? Because there are so many paths for the sellers and buyers that it's easy to get lost. We want to help our clients navigate their way to the point where the buyer has the same information as the seller, where they're on the same level, and they both know the price is right. This is the future we are building together.
Fantastic video, I think. So my question for you, Lukas, is based on this video that people just watched. can you just share exactly what do you believe it's our vision in terms of OLX Europe from the perspective of motors?
So to start with, as a leadership team for motors, we gathered and wanted to define like where we want to go in years ahead of us, to set that direction and clarity both for ourselves and teams and even our partners we work together. So we defined that we want to create the most trusted mobility experience where transactions are simple and fast. And the three core building pillars in this sense are trust, convenience, and choice. Because we witnessed that in all the markets we operate, this is a common trait. It might be slight different approaches we have from market to market. However, these are strong three pillars we believe in, and hopefully can really make acceleration in there and serve our consumers better than anyone else.
And I truly do believe in the way we are going. I think this is tremendously powerful that we have a clear mission, and even we want to guarantee that the market also understands where we are going. Another point, very interesting, I wanted to ask you, your view is in Portugal, people are even proud that OLX Group made like in here in Lisbon, in Saldanha, the hub for technology, right? So where we have, I think, almost a hub if we include the business itself of Standvirtual plus also it's around 150 people in the office here. So, and as you probably know, Portugal in a way it's becoming a bit of California type of, right? That like tech companies, why people going to stay in Berlin or in London if they can stay here in Lisbon next to the beach? They can program, they can work from home. So I think even the press, many times they ask me about this, and I wanted to ask you to share your view. How do you see these benefits? Is this a bet for the future about having the tech hub in Portugal, where like maybe the majority of your Motors Europe team individually, one country, it's in Portugal?
So as you very correctly highlighted, we have this important part of Motors, which is being located in Portugal. This is our tech and product hub, which is developing all the products, including Portugal, Poland, Romania. And then, well, what is the reason? So it's no surprise Lisbon is becoming more and more recognized as a tech hub. And we happen to have also successful business there. So combining all those areas into one, we started exploring some years ago of having some product and tech people there, and which evolved to be a full stacked support for the motors for the whole Europe. And as if for now, it's doing a tremendous job and developing successful products that allows us to lead in the markets we operate. And as you mentioned, Nuno, it's kind of California. We have lovely weather. So it's also we have quite a few expats and different nationalities working in our company, which Lisbon is also a good attraction for them. It's a good life quality outside of work as well.
Exactly. I mean, the other day I was seeing a slide from our leader in our group of HR, and I think it was impressive. We have like at least maybe almost 20 different people from different countries, right? Like different origins.
Exactly. It's a very diverse team we have in Motors to start with. And then that includes also tech.
Now let me make you a bit more like local and eventually biased question. I cannot avoid it about Portugal, right? And about Standvirtual and the business, right? Because I know even before me joining the group, you already been always very close to Portugal. The tech hub was here. You were representing the largest market. So my question for you, and that you have, seeing this more helicopter view about the whole market. How do you see Standvirtual? How do you see the progress in Portugal? You as a leader, what's your expectations of Standvirtual for Portugal?
So to start with, Standvirtual is very successful business in our portfolio. It does serve our consumer needs for more than a decade now, and it does it very effectively and successfully. So as if for now, it's arguably the best platform in Portugal, which is actually doing that. So if I look into the future, so we want to continue to do so and even get in closer relationship with our partners so we can understand better the needs and tailor them better than anybody else. We are exploring with some additional business extensions of the business that helps our partners to do business even better in other markets. So it's likely we're going to have that coming in Portugal sometime soon. If I think about the Portugal itself, so it's also very much driven by cars, and people like cars itself. And I think this is a perfect petrol head platform besides of that. On top of that, like if I look in Portugal per se, we have this very healthy combo of two players. We have Standvirtual, which is leading for mostly professional traders, and then we have OLX, which serves very well private consumers and facilitates trade there. So the expectation from my side is that we keep the good work, listen to our customers, and then even take it to the next level.
So let me now, in terms of ending our interview here, there's like two additional questions I wanted to ask you, going a little bit more away, like a bit more broader, right? So the first one is almost like a provocative question, because some of the people may be aware, not so many, but I think it's interesting because of the mention of the group, that when we look to OLX, and then I think we call it OLX Autos, on emerging markets, we have a different approach. And then we will be not just putting a video up where people can see some images going on, but we will not put the sound, where it's clear that we see that the markets, I think, are more undeveloped. So we will go more deep, supporting and giving trust to that transaction. It's a very different approach, at least very focused approach, compared to more broad that you've shown us about OLX Europe. Can you explain to us, this difference of approach between Europe and emerging markets?
So it's to start with, it's very much relates to the maturity, what I slightly mentioned prior. And if you think about India, for example, so many consumers are buying their first car. So the knowledge and the trust component is even lower versus, let's say, Portugal or Poland per se. So in this sense, we have a certain special tailored products. In this sense, we facilitate some of the transactions. So we allow the dealers connect with buyers in a slightly different way, which is not necessarily needed as we speak in Portugal for now on. So that actually the whole difference of certain markets that made us aware that we need to have slight different approach. Hence, that's why we have different products and different strategy in different markets.
So, but the point I think is also relevant to take out of that is from the perspective we've been talking, as we operate as also a global group. For sure, you are close to it, and there's learnings that we can understand from other markets that maybe in the future we can also bring to Europe if we feel we can add value to the European market, right?
Of course. So I think that's a benefit of us as a group, that there is a lot of learnings globally, and some of that just gives us insight to help us better operate in what we have at the moment. In some cases, there are proven business cases that makes a lot of sense. It's in some cases it's also a readiness of the market, and it's both from our side and consumer side. If certain product is the time is right, so that gives us better indication what kind of products we should bring, what kind of products we should test somewhere else. So having that broad portfolio globally really allow us to navigate it smart.
Thank you, Lukas. One last question, even more broad, in looking into the future, and then as we've seen in all the markets that we are operating, all this pandemic phase that we went through, it moved everything. It boosted all the digital focus of our customers, both the dealers and also the end consumer. So when we look and we see this in some other markets, that digital retailing is taking off more seriously. People talking about, can I buy a car completely online? Can I buy a used car? Can also look into the new cars? Can we do finance online? Can I trade my car? So what's your view? Do you think this is the future in terms of digital retail? Are we going to be this is going to be our role also to support in the automotive sector to develop digital retailing?
Yes, indeed. It's not a new trend, to be honest. This is something was happening for quite some years in the past. Just many players, including some of the manufacturers, were a bit resistant, and then it was not tested and proven yet. However, this unfortunate situation with COVID really accelerated that. Really accelerated the opportunities of acquiring car without touching it, without seeing it, or having physical interaction with other human beings. So that gave much more attention in this area. So that really accelerates this particular speed. If we look globally, so there are quite a few players already who test click to sell a car, and there are certain warranties and certain procedures how that car can be delivered and tested. And we see some startups popping up all over the world who go into this direction. In our case, we also observe this trend. In some cases, we help some of our partners to do that and accelerating it. And who knows, maybe in years to come, we're going to be a part of that journey.
Absolutely. I think we're very well positioned. Lukas, I basically wanted to thank your time. People may not know, but it's 2 hours ahead of us, so you're already getting close to your lunchtime. Really appreciated the time you had with us. I think it's going to be very relevant for the Portuguese market because people are seeing what we are doing. I think it's also relevant for the market to have this more global picture that you've been able to share with us here today. Lukas, thank you very much for your time. I think it was really interesting.
Thank you, Nuno, for making this happen. It's always good to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
Close down in português, ok? Neste formato, que eu gostaria de agradecer a todos também a presença e a estarem a ver este Motorcast, que eu acho que também tem aqui uma profundidade adicional, no sentido de entenderem, muitos dos nossos clientes estão aqui connosco e entenderem de facto que nós temos uma perspectiva mais global e por vezes muitas das decisões que nós temos que tomar não se restringem apenas a decisões locais, mas têm que envolver vários mercados em simultâneo, nesta altura com forte coordenação europeia, mas sempre com uma perspectiva bastante global. Eu, eventualmente, quando este Motorcast for para o ar, poderemos já ter feito os nossos webinars. Gostava só de deixar claro que também nós estamos a manter uma iniciativa com a ACAP, em que mensalmente iremos fazer um barómetro do mercado, em conjunto com a ACAP, mais do lado do mercado de informação de carros novos, do nosso da procura e dos usados, e por isso, no início de todos os meses, faremos pelo menos esse webinar sempre com um painel de convidados para comentar e com um tema adicional. E, acima de tudo, sentimos que a retoma está aí. Não vai ser do momento para o outro que voltaremos aos níveis de janeiro e fevereiro, mas, meus amigos, as coisas estão a recuperar, depende de nós, depende da confiança. Penso que também a evolução aqui em termos da pandemia, nesta altura, está relativamente estável. Vamos nos manter confiantes, vamos também cumprir as regras que são necessárias e por isso temos vindo a promover o selo de estabelecimento seguro da ACAP, que tem também tido feedback muito positivo em termos de confiança no mercado e por isso mantenham-se seguros, mantenham-se fortes e não se esqueçam, neste momento é muito importante a presença em termos digitais dos clientes e sentimos isso e vão ver isso naquilo que o Daniel Rocha nos apresenta nos webinars, de que de facto a procura está lá, as pessoas ainda procuram mais, por isso a presença digital é absolutamente fundamental. Muito obrigado, foi um prazer, até ao próximo Motorcast do Standvirtual.